Alright, my first job was working for my local neighborhood grocery store. I'm not gonna say the name, but let's just say it's a pretty well-known store. At least in California. After I graduated high school, my mom told me she didn't want any lazy bums in the house. And I needed to either get a job or continue my education. I remember thinking, dude, I just want some time off. I've been in school pretty much my whole life. Let me chill and play some Legend of Zelda for a bit. Luckily, my neighbor James heard about my problem and was nice enough to help me get hired at the grocery store that he worked at. I had some issues working there, mostly with the management and how they treated me. They would be condescending and talk down to me. They would treat me like if I was stupid just because I was 18. The adults thought they were better than me, so needless to say, I was miserable working there. The first issue that came about was on my first day. They pulled me aside and told me long hair was not allowed in the dress code for men. They didn't notice during the interview because I had combed it back into a bun. In retrospect, it wasn't a big deal. I don't like having long hair anymore, but at the time it was a deal breaker. I was gonna refuse the job if I was forced to cut my hair. But that's what I ended up doing. I shaved my head. People were telling me if I didn't take this job, I was going to make James look bad, because he put in a good word for me. I was pretty upset about it, but whatever, already off to a bad start. My duties consisted of being a cashier, bagging groceries, doing carryouts, collecting carts, and just helping people out in general. Come to think of it, I think they only let me cashier once. That's how much the managers disliked me. Maybe someone else can relate, but in my experience, employers tend to not like young teenagers fresh out of high school. Especially if you're quiet and keep to yourself like me. To make things worse, I was getting paid minimum wage. And they would only give me 16 hours a week. It was always inconvenient that instead of just 2 8-hour shifts, they would schedule me 4 days, 4 hours each shift. I was always scheduled to close so they wouldn't have to see me. Since they treated me like dirt, I stopped taking the job seriously, and I started goofing off. One day I was sent to the back room to look for an item, and since I was alone, I wanted to take a nap. I tried to fall asleep on an empty pallet in the back of the room, just for 10 or 15 minutes. I think I was taking too long and they sent James to find me. After he found me knocked out on a pallet, he started cracking up. Dude, shut up, I don't want to get caught. Another time I was sent to collect carts in the downstairs parking lot. This particular store had extra parking underneath that had to be accessed through the back. My coworker Ricky was leaving for the day when he told me, dude, screw this job, let's go get some food. Okay, sounds good to me. We went down the street to McDonald's and we got some chicken nuggets. After about 45 minutes, he dropped me off. When I returned, I told the manager the parking lot was all good. Then I clocked out for the day without touching a single cart. I don't know how I got away with that. Also, there were many times where we would take the snacks off the shelf, sneak into the back room and just eat them. The job wasn't too bad. Some of my old coworkers were awesome to work with. But all my major issues was with the managers and how they were rude to me. Maybe I would have taken the job a little more serious if they treated me better. The reason I ended up quitting was because I had called out on Christmas Eve. Due to my grandpa being admitted to the hospital, the store manager didn't believe me. The last thing he said to me was, "I hope your grandpa is in the hospital." And just before he hung up on me, I could hear him laughing. That was the last straw for me. I know my call out sounded like a really bad excuse, but it was true. And I refused to continue to work for somebody who treated me so poorly. So on my next scheduled shift, I showed up and told the assistant manager I quit. And the dude went off on me. He was an older gentleman, maybe between 40 to 50 years of age, berating an 18-year-old kid in front of customers and employees, just making a scene. I think in that situation, I should have stood up for myself, and not let someone disrespect me that way. But I just stood there quiet, not saying anything. When it was all over, I left with a feeling of relief, because I knew I never had to go back. And those managers are stuck working there, probably for the rest of their lives. The assistant manager told me he would make sure that I never work in another grocery store ever again, which was fine by me. I don't know how he was gonna do it, but he failed, because I ended up working for another well-known store for a few years after that. And let's just say a lot of crazy stuff happened there that I might tell in a future video. Who knows? Later.